Hello, today I'm going to be looking at the new Nightlapse feature on the HERO4 GoPro camera.
Adorama TV presents Capture the Action with Martin Dorey.
Hi there, I'm Martin Dorey and you are watching Adorama TV. Today I'm going to be looking at the new Nightlapse feature on the HERO4 GoPro Black Edition camera. A few weeks back we looked at night photo mode on the HERO4. Now this is a new mode that allows you to take control of the shutter speed so you can create long exposures. So if you're shooting with less light, long exposures, create some really nice photographs. Nightlapse mode is just an extension of this in that you can shoot continuous stills for as long as you want to and then later on knit them all together to create a low light time-lapse sequence. The idea is that you can make time-lapse sequences, say, of the night sky or other darker events at night that you wouldn't be able to capture with normal time-lapse mode. So it is a multiple image capturing mode. When you're shooting night-lapse, there are two important considerations. And the first and most important one of all is your shutter speed. Now, you can choose anything from auto, which the camera does for you, up to 2 seconds, 2 seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 20 seconds, or 30 seconds. Now, the thing about this is that it might take a little bit of practice just to get your exposure right, because if you shoot 10 seconds, it could well, if you've got too much light, blow the whole thing. Likewise, if you're down at 2 seconds, there might not be enough light. So you can play with it, but at least if you're using the app, you can shoot, test, look at it back, make sure your exposure is okay, and then carry on when you've got it right. The second setting you need to know about is the interval. Now, this is the time in between shots. Now, this camera will shoot at any interval from 4 seconds up to 60 minutes. So it is actually possible to shoot one 30-second exposure shot every hour, if you're connected to an external power source, of course. Right, so bearing in mind that GoPro Studio will play back your time-lapse sequences at 30 frames per second by default, then you'll need to set your interval and understand how long your event is going to take and also how long you want that sequence to last on camera. Got it? For example, as we were shooting in the time-lapse video episode, we were shooting the sunset and we knew we wanted a sequence of about 30 seconds and we knew that the sunset was going to last about half an hour. Now, doing a bit of calculations with that gives us our interval. And your interval is absolutely crucial to your time-lapse video because it will decide how long your piece of film is going to be. So if it's playing back at 30 frames a second, if you take 30 frames, it will take a second on screen. There is one interval setting that's going to be useful in Nightlapse, and that is the continuous setting. Now, what that means is that the interval between the exposures will be the same length as the exposure itself. Got it? So, if you're shooting a 2-second exposure, the interval will be 2 seconds. If it's 10-second exposure, the interval will be 10 seconds. Basically, what this does is that allows an almost continuing shooting. So if you're shooting a 30-second exposure, for example, if it's really dark, you're shooting the night sky and 30 seconds is the only exposure that you can use, it will take a shot every 30 seconds. So it will give you the fastest time lapse available for those light conditions. That's actually quite useful. So what's Nightlapse going to do? Well, if you've got moving images and you've got long exposures, you're obviously going to get motion blur from that. So if you're looking for a moving sky or something like that, then you're going to have to make sure, as with night mode, that you lock off the camera. Fair enough. Now, there is one other thing about this which I found quite interesting, and we thought that we would do a few experiments to see if it would work. The difference between time lapse and night lapse in terms of the way that the GoPro exposes the shots. Now in theory, if you're shooting with night lapse, the exposures should be longer, keeping the ISO down. And in time lapse, if you've got less light, then it will push the exposure, we hope, before it pushes the shutter speed. Got it? So in time lapse, if you've got low light situations, you'll get grain, and with night lapse, in low light situations, you should get motion blur. Now motion blur is something that I actually quite like, and I think it's quite interesting to potentially shoot sequences in half light, if you like, with a little bit of motion blur. Right, I've set the camera up. It's starting to go dark. Hopefully the street lights will come on in a minute, but for the time being, I've set the camera running to auto on continuous interval, and for now, we wait. Nightlapse mode is a photo capture mode. Unlike video time-lapse mode, which is a video mode and takes a series of video stills, nightlapse takes a series of photographic stills, and then you have to take them into GoPro Studio later to knit them all together. And it's a small price to pay because, in actual fact, nightlapse mode will also allow you to put the GoPro into Pro Tune mode, which means you can control your ISO limits, your color temperature, and that means that actually you've got a lot more options and can be a lot more creative. Okay, look, that's it for today. Thanks very much for joining me on Adorama. Don't forget to go to the Learning Centre for more great hints and tips, and please don't forget to subscribe to Adorama TV for more great videos. Finally, please like, comment or share, and if there's anything you want to know, just get in touch.
Do you want great looking prints at low cost? Be sure to visit our easy-to-use online printing service. Adorama Pix has professionals who treat your images with the utmost care that you can count on. For a quick turnaround on photos, cards, or albums, use AdoramaPix.com.